It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. A lot of things still to discuss. We spent the last hour talking mostly about Utah State and their win over San Jose. Two important wins for USU last week at home. Chance to kind of collect themselves, get a couple of wins under their belts. But they definitely weren't dominating fashion. In fact, they were close ones against teams that are several games behind them in the standings. And now the Aggies have to turn their attention to much tougher competition midweek here as they go to San Diego. Hopefully this team is working on a few details to get themselves in a better position. Now they're still they're tied for second. I mean, it's San Diego State is at 6-1, and then New Mexico, Boise, Nevada, and USU are all 5-2 in the standings. There's a big showdown tonight, New Mexico and Nevada in Reno. It's on CBS Sports Network. And New Mexico is back in the top 25 after they beat Boise State just the other day.
Yes, it'll be big. It'll knock somebody out of this tie for second place and move one of them up into actually alone in second place for the moment. Things will reset on as the week goes on, more teams play. So we'll see. They'll break up the four-way tie for second. But for Utah State, the key for them in terms of try and stay between second and, or I guess you could say first and fourth. I don't know if climbing into first is going to be as probable unless they go 2-0 this week. But I'd say in terms of staying in the hunt, go 1-1 this week. You'd assume that means winning at Fresno State and losing against San Diego State, but that'll work just fine. Because ultimately, you're trying to hold home court. That way, you split with just about everybody. Anybody you lose to, you're splitting with them. And then you go 2-0 against a bunch of the lower level teams. Or lower in the standings teams. That'll be the key to staying in the top 3 or 4 in conference. But if you go 0-2 on this road trip, then that's going to knock you back. That's going to probably indicate that Utah State's going to be more in the 4 to 5 to 6 range in the conference. Basically, at the back end of this, four-way tie. Once it all settles, one of these teams is going to be in 5th. And if Utah State can't show this week that they're at least capable of winning on the road against tough competition, they'll probably wind up at the back end of this four-way tie.
Looking at the net rankings, the NCAA net rankings, Boise State is the top team at 21. San Diego State is at 26. New Mexico 28. Nevada 33. Utah State 34. So they're all bunched together there. But 5 teams in the top 35.
Yeah, it's boding very well for the conference in terms of their tournament hopes. Boise State not taking too much of a tumble, getting narrowly defeated by New Mexico. So Boise State still very much playing very well. Of course, then their coach decided to cry after the game, but no need to talk too much about that.
No. Guy's such a crybaby.
No.
Such a whiner.
You had Boise State fans defending him on Twitter, then literally everyone else calling him out.
I get it, say something, but the way he kept carrying on, it's like, oh my word. 9952 texting in, I ref college hockey, often back-to-back, and train refs watching how the lead official behaved Saturday went against everything I teach as an instructor. I wish I was his evaluator for that game. It would not have gone well.
Yes, that's the thing is that, there's the one particular ref. And there was one play, several plays where it's just like his behavior didn't seem very becoming. Like there was one, it was actually after a call, if I remember, I didn't even necessarily disagree with the call. But it just felt like he was being condescending to the other referees. Like, go back. He's like trying to just demand everything. This is happening. And play on. I was like, just, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, that was really weird.
You're supposed to just be calm, professional, and while he was probably calm, he was just way too forceful, way demanding, and very, overly animated. And again, it seemed somewhat condescending, and I swear I almost saw one of the other referees give him a side eye, as if they were annoyed with him. I was like, gosh, he must not be fun to work with.
Now, the referee, the game should go on, and yes, you're going to know the refs are there based on the fouls that they call, things like that, but it's not about them. The game is not about them. But we've seen a few too many times, a few referees that are out there where they make their presence known, and they want everybody to know they're there to call the game, and everybody is there, they're on their watch. The game is there on his watch.
Yeah, it's like the thing is, the referee, and I use this, and I usually use it more towards soccer because it's a little more accurate, but the referee is God on the field or the court. And that's the level of power they need to have to do their job correctly. You don't need to make everybody know that you're God on the court. You just need to use that power the way you need to use it.
Right.
Some referees think they are God on the court, and that's a problem they can have because they start dancing and when they're making their calls and they're overly animated and just, again, it's their ego, and that's the problem. When you have an ego and you let it get out, you're there to be a robot in some degree. Like when you're making the call and I guess interacting or trying not to interact with the crowd, you're trying to be a robot in that fashion. Now, in terms of interacting with the players, you got to be a little more human. I mean, heck, before the game, we were there on Media Row and we were chatting with one of the referees. Like, they're human. They know what's going on. One of them was a Chiefs fan. They wanted to know what the score was. Because, again, they're human. There's some of that human aspect where you interact with players, explain, okay, this is why I made the call. This is what I saw. Talk with the players. Be understanding. But then there's other parts where you just got to be robotic, make the call, and get out of there. Let the players play. And some referees just aren't good at that aspect where they have to, again, like they're drawing attention to themselves. Do not ever do that.
Yeah, they want to make sure everybody stops down and pays attention to what they're doing and that they're in control. 9952 texting in again. He reminded me of Dave Hall. The world was revolving around them.
Yeah, it's just like these referees just get way into it and commanding. And it's a superiority complex. Yeah, I think you can also call it a God complex. And you see this with other people in positions of authority, where they get this, I have power, they know they have power, and they use it and they try to dominate other people. And that's where it goes wrong. It happens in police work. And
Yes.
it never leads to good places.
Yeah, let the authority get to their head.
Yeah, if you got to use that authority. That's the thing, is you have to use that authority. You have it for a reason, and you must use it. When you are a referee and you make a call, I made this call, and that's how it is. And sometimes you got to, straighten your chin and say, all right, that's what it is. Tough luck. I made the call. Shut up and keep playing. You got to do that sometimes. But you can't let it go to your head and start, trying to direct everything and draw attention to yourself. Say, all right, I am God, and you're going to acknowledge that fact. You use the power you got, referee the game, do it as best you can. We understand you make mistakes, but you can't let it get to your head and become the show, because then it never goes well. Even if you call a game perfectly at that point, it's not going well because there's frustrations, and it gets chippy, and it gets messy. So you like I said, you got to be a robot sometimes. Robot when you're making calls, a person when you talk with the players and explaining why you made those calls.
6211 with another text. I've never seen a ref physically move a player out of the key to prevent a 3-second call. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's just weird. And 3-second calls are kind of dumb anyway. And I probably called them weird because when I was a referee, very briefly, I know a lot of you texters have been referee longer than I have, and so I'd probably defer to what you guys did. But for me, and I kind of picked this up because I assumed it's what a lot of other people did based on just watching games and how 3 seconds are called. Because if you just counted to 3 seconds, it's one of those, it happens on every play. It's like holding. They say it happens on every play. For me, I'd count to 3, and like on 3, I'd yell at their player number, say, get out of the key. And then if they didn't immediately move or weren't already on their way out, then I'd call 3 seconds. So really 3 seconds is like 5, because that's what it would get to by the end of it all.
Yeah, I think if we were really legitimately going to call 3-second violations in basketball, there'd be a lot more of them in the course of the game. As we talked about earlier, there's so many things that refs are watching and keeping track of. Sometimes it's hard to lose focus of how long is somebody in that position or in that general area without having to step out first. But
especially if the baseline referee has to suddenly turn his attention to the ball in the corner.
Right.
If there's a post player on the backside camping in a key, well, he's not looking there because he's suddenly the ball's in his zone and he has to watch for it.
Yeah, but to have a ref run up and grab the player and direct him out of the key so he doesn't get a 3-second violation, I've never seen that.
Yeah, that's just that should not happen. There needs to be an evaluation of that's like a player about to commit an intentional foul at the end of the game, and the referee grabs him and says, "No, don't commit a foul. It's against the rules.
Don't do that."
It's like
that would hurt your team.
Call the game. Just call. Like that's the other thing is like you're not part of the game in a way. Like you're trying not to impact the game, at least with your physical presence. You obviously impact the game by the fact that you're the referee. It's why you get out of the way. When the ball comes your way, you try and get out of the way. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you get hit by the ball, and it happens. But still, get out of the way as best you can. And for sure as heck, don't put yourself in position to go push a player. Like, what are you doing?
That was so weird.
Like, there's a difference between being a soccer ref and the ball gets kicked at you, and heavens, there's nothing I can do to get out of the way, and you get drilled by the ball. Okay, whatever. And that happened to me in basketball, too, once. A deflection came and hit me in the shoulder, and was like, sorry, I'm not the Flash.
No.
and nobody cared because they knew. But still, like, that happens and everyone just moves on because they know it happens. But, like, or when a referee in a football field just suddenly gets stuck and the player runs in, it was like, okay, I'm like a 45-year-old dude just trying to ref a game. Like, they're human and everyone just understands. They help the ref up and they hope they're not injured. But to go up and deliberately put yourself in the path of and push a guy, like, what are you doing?
It's so weird. So weird. 9315. Which one was the hall pass monitor in grade school? Or the brown noser? How could it be Eric, Jason, or the ref? Maybe the ref.
I wasn't the hall pass person.
I was no hall pass monitor. I'll tell you that. But yeah, that was really weird. That was just really weird.
Yeah, like I said, that's the thing. We talk about the ref probably way too much for the fact that they didn't necessarily have an awful game. Thought they did okay. But again, optics matter.
Yes.
And that's a big thing.
So the current standings in the Mountain West, as we've said, San Diego State at 6-1, Utah State in the middle with New Mexico, Boise, and Nevada. All four of those teams at 5-2. Air Force, San Jose, Fresno State, all at 3-4. So the Aggies are going to be at San Diego State on Wednesday, and then they're at Fresno State later in the week. So they're going to go from one extreme to another almost. One of the toughest places to play, and then Fresno State, they are 5-3 at home so far this year. It's a tough challenge for USU when they go on the road to California. They're not going to come home, from what it sounds. They're going to fly to San Diego, and then they'll I don't know when they'll fly up to Fresno. If they spend an extra day in San Diego, if they spend the extra time in Fresno, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I asked last week because I was curious. They just said they're going to fly. I think they might fly out of Salt Lake. I think they said they were flying commercial to San Diego. And they're actually going to bus up to Fresno State.
Oh.
I don't think they specified because it wasn't important to the conversation exactly what day they were heading up, but it's probably just going to be the day after. I don't know. Depends. That's just what they're doing. They're just going to spend pretty much the entire week in California just to make travel a little bit easier, less complicated, really.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, is the logistics of everything.
Big game tonight in the Mountain West with the New Mexico Lobos on the road at Nevada. And that game will be on CBS Sports Network. Shifting gears, talking about some high school hoops. Region 11 play has been underway.
I want to get to a text really quick. I think we missed 109 through 15's text.
Oh, go for it.
So I think it was one he had in before was the hall pass monitor one. I think he asked about was this an ice cream game? Did we read that one?
Oh, no, we didn't read that one.
Because, yes, it was. And actually, Max Shulga, 2 games in a row, has given the Aggies ice cream, free ice cream.
And the number is 75.
Yeah, because he scored 75 points in both games this week, which is the number. That's the magic number, is getting 275. But he also asks, would the easiest shot on the court be free throws because you're never rushed or guarded? If this is true, then why are some players not making the shot more? As in 9 out of 10 shots. The main reason they're not making it 9 out of 10 is because it's a 16-foot shot? 15 or 16 feet, I think, is where the free throw line is. I think. Not 100% sure on that. And not everybody's a good shooter. But in terms of order of easiness, there's some context you'd have to add in terms of defense and where they're guarding you, but it would go typically layup, three-pointer, and then probably free throws, at least in terms of points per possession on average. I believe it goes layup, dunk. And for a good three-point shooter, it's probably then three-pointer and then free throws. But a good free throw shooter can get pretty close to the efficiency of a half-court possessions layup. But that's a good free throw shooter.
Aggies shot 9 of 13 on Saturday, 69.2%.
Which is good. This is a solid team percentage for one game. Obviously 69% for a season is probably a little below average, but you're living with 9 of 13.
All right, Shulga only missed 1. Bairstow only missed 1. Akin missed 2.
Yeah. So they did just fine in terms of free throw in terms of the number they had.
So it's just collectively is how it added up.
Yeah. So, yeah, collectively you'd probably go layup, three-pointer, free throws, depending on how good of a three-pointer free throw shooting team you are. But layup is always the best shot.
So Region 11, high school hoops, a couple of games in the books, and the latest RPI rankings released today. Not a whole lot of change. Skyview still the number 1 team in boys basketball with an overall record of 13-2. Ridgeline at number 3 at 11-3. Bear River hanging in there at number 4. So they've had a solid basketball season. And other Region 11 teams, Logan is at number 9. I'm a little surprised they're not a little bit higher. But Mountain Crest at 11, Green Canyon at 12. So it's been kind of an interesting season so far for Region 11. And for girls, it's Ridgeline at number 1. They're still undefeated, the only undefeated team in the state in 4A. Skyview at number 2. Green Canyon at number 3. Mountain Crest 6. Bear River 7. And Logan coming in at number 13. But for our girls, Region 11 girls basketball game of the week, it featured that Ridgeline and Skyview game on Friday. Hurricane John Newbold on the call there. But we've had some pretty exciting games. We had a double overtime game last week in boys basketball. We've had some fun, close contests, some down-to-the-wire games, and it's been pretty exciting.
Yeah, it has been really exciting. Unfortunately, the Ridgeline Skyview game wasn't as exciting as I was hoping. Ridgeline ended up dominating that game. It was close after 1. I think it was 10-12 or something like that. It ended up being a fairly low-scoring game. But the thing is, Skyview then ended up scoring only 3 points in the second quarter, and Ridgeline had a fairly typical quarter where they scored, I can't remember what it was, 10 or 15 points, something like that. So they ended up jumping ahead. And then Skyview was trailing the whole time. They could never really get much going. They then had someone get injured, and it was just not as, wasn't that game of the year I was hoping for. But I think it's just because Ridgeline is just that good. It's just insane. You look at the RPI, you see, okay, Ridgeline's 1, Skyview's 2. But the RPI number, the one that's spat out by the win percentage and all that, Skyview's number is .751. Skyview's .627. And so it's like 0.13 difference, which is like the same difference between Skyview and like Mountain Crest at 6. Like there's a huge gap in that RPI between Ridgeline and just the second place team, and it seems like that's what's playing out on court. There just feels like Ridgeline is just that dominant, and it would take a spectacularly down game for them and a great game from somebody else to finally knock them off.
In boys play, it was those two teams facing each other on Thursday, and Ridgeline just really had a lot of turnovers, unforced errors that kept, and Skyview capitalized on all of those opportunities on Thursday, and now this continued to kind of implant their spot or reinforce their spot at the top of the 4A rankings and the top of the Region 11 standings.
Yeah, so the dominance between Skyview and the rest of the region isn't as big as Ridgeline is in girls, but yeah, Skyview just looks like a really dang good team. And, Dixie, they're looking pretty good. They're 15-2. Skyview's 13-2. So you might have a really nice playoff bracket. And I think there's a lot of good teams. Logan, who is a solid team, is 9th, which I think, I don't know, maybe they're really good in Region 10. I've not watched any Region 10 games, so I don't know. I think Logan's a solid team. But they're at 9th, and so I don't know. We'll see when the playoffs come around how these teams fare when they get thrown against each other. But I don't know, because I think Logan's going to have a decent chance at Bear River coming up here. And Bear River's number 4, so I don't know. It's just there's a whole bunch in basketball. We do seem to have dominant teams at the top of both girls and boys.
Yes. Yeah, solid basketball being played at the top. Also, just not to be left out, in 5A, Box Elder for the boys, they're at number 7 in the latest 5A RPI rankings released today. Overall record of 9-5. In 1A, it's Rich at number 8 in the 1A standings with an overall record of 9-6. For the girls, Box Elder at number 16 with a 7-8 overall record, and Rich in 1A at number 3 overall with an 11-3 record. Also, just want to mention this too. Just the we're getting into that time of year where we have these region competitions. This weekend it's going to be the Region 11 swim meet up at USU. That'll be on Saturday. Tonight it's the Region 11 drill competition. That's going to be in at Bear River High School. And as of the latest RPI standings there for region or for 4A drill, Skyview is at number 1. Ridgeline's at number 3. Bear River is at 6. Green Canyon 7. And so we got Mountain Crest and Logan kind of bringing up the rear there. But the drill competition that's taking place tonight at Box Elder High School. Those final RPI released on Wednesday for the 4A standings. So that's what's going on with local high school RPI that was updated today.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. A lot of winter sports gearing up, because for a while in winter sports it's just the two sports, but now we get a bunch of the others getting going.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of wrestling competitions going on right now as well, and so it's a lot of that's heating up. And I know we've got a lot of photo galleries of a lot of these events going on Cache Valley Daily. More to come as well with these region competitions taking place. Quick timeout here in the Full Court Press. Love to have you continue to chime in on our Full Court Press text line, 435-339-0321. And we'll get into the Utah Jazz. They're in action tonight, taking on Charlotte, and the latest standings in the NBA as well, coming up on the Full Court Press.
Creating healthy habits and lifestyles begins when our families are young. This is Dan at the Sports Academy. Keep your kids active with year-round Swim America swim lessons, tennis lessons, and tumbling and trampoline lessons. Both group and private lessons are available to fit your busy schedule. Let our talented coaches teach your kids life skills and build self-confidence that will last a lifetime. Enroll online at sportsacademy.com. The Sports Academy, your club, your results, your life.
It's never too late or too cold to get rid of that old vehicle. Now is the time to earn extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles by paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
Want to set yourself apart from the competition? The Leadership MBA at Utah State University will help you lead companies and drive change in your organization. You can attend in person in Logan on Thursday evenings or take an interactive online class. Complete your MBA in as little as a year. Apply before March 1st to be considered for summer semester. Contact the MBA office for a waiver of the $55 application fee. Learn more at utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com.
Hi, this is Tyler. Recently, my father passed away, and White Pine provided the funeral services for our family. They were friendly, thoughtful, and attentive to every detail. You know, it isn't often that a loved one passes away, so it was very important to my family that everything be handled just right. Because my dad was loved by so many people, we had a lot of family and friends that traveled from out of town. I really appreciate how White Pine Funeral Services made sure everyone was comfortable and that the focus was where it needed to be, on my dad and my family. They really took care of us during this tender time.
This is The Herd.
Attention listeners.
With Colin Cowherd.
So the Sean McVay story is very interesting. I want to step back and have a life. I think McVay feels at times a little underappreciated. He saved the quarterback. He saved the franchise. It was a boring, unwatchable mess. And I think he wants a little more power, a little more say in personnel.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan. Following the local teams, it's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. Thanks for tuning in. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. Streaming on 1069thefan.com and on the 1069 The Fan mobile app. Podcasts available there as well of past shows. 8003 drill at Box Elder High School or Bear River High School? It's at Bear River. Sorry if I confused people, if I said the wrong school. Yeah, the drill, Region 11 drill competition is at Bear River High School tonight. And I believe it starts at 6.
I have not looked at the schedule. I should probably know this.
But best of luck to everybody. It's, halftime, a lot of halftimes. These drill teams are out performing their numbers for these games lately. So they have other competitions that they do, and they get scored. And that's where these RPI rankings come from. And then they have their region competition tonight, again, at Bear River High School in Garland. So
yeah. It is at 6 as 8003 is. They seem to be on top of it.
Thank you, 8003. Appreciate you for setting me straight on that if I misled anybody. And 9315 sent in a screen cap of Byron Vaughns. Yes, he did go to Twitter today, basically saying that he is still in the transfer portal. He hasn't committed anywhere specifically. He has 1 year left, and he wants to get it right, so he's still, I guess, being open to being recruited. Hasn't settled on a destination yet.
Because I'm pretty sure that when you've entered the transfer portal, I think even though the portal's closed, they can still commit at this point, right?
Yeah, I think he yeah.
Because I think that's mostly about entering the portal, right?
Yes.
You can commit anywhere. It's just, I suppose there's a deadline to...
Certainly there's some urgency to try to make a decision to get on campus somewhere if you want to be there for spring ball. But,
yeah, I guess
still figuring it out.
I don't know if he's waiting for a better offer. He's gotten plenty of good offers. Bunch of P5 schools. I don't know, is he opening for a good NIL deal or something that he's not getting?
Or maybe leaving it open to stay home, stay here.
I don't know if I don't think he's going to come back. I think he very much wants to leave. I think this is, you can certainly read this as him considering maybe staying. But I very much think he's looking at going somewhere. He's trying to tell everyone, like, he's like soliciting more offers. Sounds like what he's trying to do.
Yeah, he's letting people know, I haven't committed anything yet. If you're thinking about having me join your team, I am still open. I'm still on the market.
Because most everybody else that has announced their transfer has committed somewhere, I think. Because, like, Grishik committed to Cincinnati. I mean, it's a lot of the higher level, some of the guys who weren't rotation guys haven't committed, or I haven't looked up to see if they've committed yet. Should probably make another sweep and check some of these other guys. Patrick Joyner, he committed pretty quickly. I mean, Waylon Lapuaho committed, like, within hours of...
Yeah, that one was a little weird.
He got an offer, and then basically he probably went straight to BYU to do the promotional photos, and then committed the next day. Yeah. So yeah, it is kind of weird. Byron Vaughn's one of the first to go in, and he's got offers from, let's see, the ones that I have written down: USC, Arizona State, Cal, Notre Dame, and some of like Georgia Tech, Houston, Virginia Tech. But like, what are you expecting? You think Georgia's going to walk through that door wanting you to play for him? Like, I don't know.
It all seem like pretty solid destinations.
Yeah, and again, maybe there's something specific he's looking for, but
5338 asks, any chance that he could return to Utah State? Yeah, I don't.
There's always a chance, but I wouldn't give it much of a chance.
That's a slim chance.
Because with everyone leaving, it feels like they're leaving for a reason. So I don't know if he's going to come back. But who knows?
Yeah, I haven't heard that the reason why they're leaving that's changed that would affect their decision to do an about face. But I don't think he's coming back, which is too bad. That defensive front was pretty solid.
Yeah, this is going
to be getting better.
It's going to be the strength of the team. Now it's going to be probably a weakness because they're going to have like no experienced players. Like one of the players we're now most excited about, at least for me right now, is the JUCO transfer. You do also have Holly Motuapawaka still. He gets to Portals close, so I guess he won't transfer, but at least not yet. But now it feels like he was a guarantee to be here. Now that everyone else is left, we're like, okay, are we going to lose him too? I can't speak for him, but it just feels like now we're on edge. Every time we say someone's left, it's like they're left for now.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we're just like about, a week and a half away from the final National Letter of Intent signing day.
Yeah, it's like early February.
February 1st, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so we're pretty close. That'll be sometime next week, I think. Next Wednesday.
Yeah, next Wednesday. Utah Jazz, they're in action tonight, taking on the Charlotte Hornets in Salt Lake City. Utah was putting together some wins and kind of getting back on track. Then they ran into the Brooklyn Nets, and that game was close. Like it was a back and forth game. Kyrie Irving just had a heck of a game. The Jazz just could not stop him. And really, I thought that what decided the game, it was probably about a minute to go, about a minute and a half, 2 minutes ago maybe, around a minute and a half to go. And it was Jazz were down, but it was like a possession. It was still time and opportunity to still be in the game. And Jazz throw it down low to Markkanen, and he just the way that Brooklyn defended him, just didn't get off a good shot. It was, I think they knocked it away, or it was a really hot contested shot. Didn't really get off, and to me that illustrated. Okay, here's the difference between a team that has a guy that you can get a bucket whenever you need one, and somebody who's improving but he's not there yet. And Markkanen's a great player, and I think he is a a borderline all-star. He's played well enough to be considered as an all-star, but he's not a franchise player yet. He's certainly going to be the most improved player in the NBA, but that play to me just spoke volumes as to he's a good player, but he's not there yet. The difference between guys who can lead a team into the playoffs and be a top-tier team, that player would have been able to get that bucket, or at least get to the free throw line and trying to get that bucket. And Lowry didn't. And he's young. He's playing a role that he's never really played except for when he was in college, but this is a whole other level. But he's getting there, but he's not there yet.
Yeah, and that's probably the way he's going to be. I don't know if he'll ever be that true number one. Usually if you're number one, you've manifested it before you're like 25. But yeah, he's shown that he's number two, and those number two guys can have nights where they do just carry a team, and they're just going to make all those shots, and they're going to look like a number one. And Markkanen's done that on a lot of occasions. They look like a number one. They play like one. Sometimes you have a lot of a season where you might think they're playing like a number one. That's kind of what Markkanen's doing this year. Mm-hmm. But as you point out, there's a difference. There's going to be times where they get exposed where, okay, they aren't going to, and, number ones, it's not like they're perfect in clutch situations, but over and over and over again, they create something out of nothing. Markkanen doesn't really create anything out of nothing. He takes what comes to him.
Yeah.
And he makes the most of that. And that's what those number two scorers are spectacular at. They are incredibly efficient. They can manifest some elements of shot creation, which Markkanen has done some of that. But they're primarily at their best playing off of a number one. And Markkanen's kind of able to do it with the way Jordan Clarkson plays in some sense, where he acts like number one, Markkanen plays off of him.
True.
So Markkanen is at his best when he's not shouldering an enormous offensive load. It's why, he's doing really well, and it's kind of unique in that he has an incredibly low usage rate for someone who's scoring as much as he is. I think in terms of all time, his point per game total, I think he's might be the only player to average like 24 points on a usage rate that's like as low as his. I looked it up like 2 months ago, and that was the case. I don't know if it's still the case now, but still. We know that in clutch situations, if you pass to him and he's open, he can hit that clutch shot. But if you want him to manufacture that shot, a lot less of a chance.
Yeah, and really he was bullied by Ben Simmons for most of the night. Ben, because he can match up with him size-wise a little bit better defensively, and he was a physical, aggressive defender. And I don't think we've seen a lot of that from teams playing the Jazz this season. I don't think we've seen a lot of guys just physically go toe-to-toe and manhandle Markkanen like Ben Simmons did.
Yeah, and that's something for Markkanen to learn from and learn how to play off of that. And that's part of where he's not been in this role as much of I'm the guy, and that means I'm going to get the best defender on the other team on me, especially in clutch situations. You look at a guy like Kevin Durant, you don't just put the biggest guy on Kevin Durant and then have that person manhandle Durant, because he's not going to let that happen. He knows how to work off of that. And so that's something Markkanen can learn from, because he's not going to be the biggest, tallest, strongest out of every matchup he's ever had. Kevin Durant's never been the biggest guy in a matchup with somebody else since college. But he manages, he can beat physical play. He's good enough to do that. You can't shut him down by just bullying him. Sometimes it works. And sometimes something will always work against the Stars. They have off games. Sometimes you can kind of gently guide them into a bad game if you have a good enough defender. So for Markkanen, this is a learning experience. It's not necessarily this is how you always stop Lauri Markkanen. I mean, it could be if he doesn't learn from it. But it's something he can learn to get around. Okay, when they play me physical, this is what I do to counter it. If they play me soft, then maybe you can be physical and beat them that way. So it's a learning experience where, again, maybe he'll never be the true number one guy, but the closer he can get to that, obviously the better better it is for the team.
Yeah, no, very true. And Utah has a chance to kind of get back on track tonight with Charlotte coming into town, who's only won 13 games on the year. Jazz should be able to take care of business handily in this one. They've won 4 of their last 6, so after they struggled for a while there, they're starting to get back on track a little bit again. and losses to some very good teams in that stretch. Lost to Philadelphia. They played them close to the wire. And even though Brooklyn, look, the final score says they won by 11, that game was close. I mean, it was a in the clutch in the last 5 minutes. In the last 2 minutes was still anybody's game. Just the way that it worked out. Jazz were missing shots, trying to force some things. Brooklyn was making theirs and making free throws. And then all of a sudden it's an 11-point game over the last, couple possessions.
Yeah, and that can happen just, again, that's why you never bet on basketball spreads.
For reasons like that.
Because a close game can turn into a 9-10-point game for no reason whatsoever.
Another quick timeout here on the Full Court Press. Love to hear from you, 435-339-0321. As we're recapping the weekend that was, and part of that is, again, looking back at what happened in the Mountain West Conference and this current standings. Got some big games coming up this week. And we'll also reveal how we did on our Pick 6. It's all coming up after a quick look at this week in the Mountain West.
This is your Mountain West basketball update with Matt and Everett.
Boise State and New Mexico kicked off the weekend action around the Mountain West on Friday night in Albuquerque, and it came down to the final play to decide the winner.
Mash comes to catch in the corner. He can't find him. Finds it cutting Udeze. He lays it in with 2.5 seconds left. Lobos up 2.
That's Robert Portnoy on KKOB Albuquerque. The Lobos edged out the Broncos 81-79 thanks to 25 points and 7 boards from Jamal Mashburn Jr. and the game's winning layup from Morris Udeze. Saturday around the conference began in Laramie, and after leading by 14 at the half, the Cowboys needed last-minute heroics from Noah Reynolds in a 58-57 final, including a game-tying layup with just over a minute to play. Here's Keith Kelly with the call on their field.
There's Reynolds, gets a screen, stops at the elbow left, drives in the paint, spins, hangs in the air, and one! Noah Reynolds with a chance to give the Cowboys the lead back.
Fresno State downed UNLV 76-63 behind a 16-point, 13-rebound double-double from Eduardo Andre and a game-high 28 points from Isaiah Hill, who played all 40 minutes in the Bulldogs' third conference win of the year. The loss drops the Runnin' Rebels to 1-6 in Mountain West action. San Diego State traveled to the Air Force Academy and came back from an early deficit to defeat the Falcons 70-60 to move all alone atop the Mountain West standings at 6-1. 4 Aztecs scored in double digits, including 13 from Matt Bradley and 13 more and 10 boards for Keyshawn Johnson, who guided San Diego State to their 15th win of the year.
Bradley outside to Keyshawn for 3. Good! Keyshawn Johnson from Bradley.
Of course, that's Ted Leitner on San Diego Sports 760. And in Logan, Utah, the homestanding Utah State Aggies recovered from a 7-point halftime disadvantage against San Jose State and came up clutch when it mattered in a 75-74 victory. Utah State moved into second in the conference at 5-2 thanks to a 19-point sharpshooting effort from junior guard Stephen Ashworth and a game-winning free throw from Max Scholga with 5 seconds left. And at your Mountain West basketball update, I'm Matt Everett.
Let's talk about getting your car registered. What a pain! With registration and emissions, it takes hours. Valvoline Instant Oil Change in Logan, across from Angie's, will take that pain away. Stop in to get your oil changed and have the emissions test done. Then re-register your car. It's that easy, all in one stop. The best thing? You can stay in your car while their trained pros service your vehicle. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, 695 North Main. Open 7 days a week.
Experience Sunday brunch at Prodigy Brewing on Center Street. Churro French toast, beignets and berries, and everyone's favorite chilaquiles. A delicious combination of eggs, house-made enchilada sauce, tortilla chips, avocado, and pico. Brunch has an all-new meaning of tasty when you visit Prodigy Brewing. Served Sundays 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Prodigy's atmosphere is vibrant, energetic, and friendly. Whether it's with family or friends, Sunday brunch at Prodigy Brewing is a delicious experience. Prodigy Brewing, exceptional food, extraordinary service, and family-friendly on Center Street in downtown Logan.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
The Aggies are #1 here. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
435-339-0321 if you want to chime in on our Full Court Press text line. Gosh, we've covered a lot of different topics. One thing we haven't discussed is the NFL divisional games over the weekend. And is there a team that we should start be talking about more overrated than the Buffalo Bills?
I think it's just a lack of being clutch, I guess. I mean, the Cowboys are overrated.
Well, that's very true. They are the most overrated. But
they're a team. We were talking back and forth during one of the breaks. I was complaining about how much attention the Cowboys get because people in my generation are all confused as to why everyone cares about the Cowboys because they haven't been relevant for basically all of my lifetime. They have, I think, two or three playoff wins in my entire lifetime. Maybe if you exclude, I think one of the first couple of years I was born, I think they might have gone to a Super Bowl. But again, we're looking at 25 years of having a playoff win or two playoff wins. And yet everybody talks about them all the time. It's why do you care about the Cowboys? They're a mediocre team. They're a mediocre franchise. And yet everyone wants to talk about them.
But the expectations on Buffalo certainly have been higher these last few years, where everybody's ready to crown Josh Allen as the new MVP, the new face of the league. The Bills are going to be the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl, but they haven't even made it to a Super Bowl. And here you've got the Bengals going on the road and putting them in their place, not just eking out a win. I mean, they won by 17 points.
Yeah, they handled them pretty good. So, I don't know. The Bills just seem to not be able to do it in the playoffs. They had their run in the 90s where they lost 4 straight Super Bowls. So, I guess now they're just getting the choking over early, I guess. They got another great quarterback. They got the next Jim Kelly.
Yeah.
But they can't, they aren't even doing what Jim Kelly did and going to the Super Bowl. They're just choking
that
early.
Far. 49ers with a nice win over the Cowboys. Eagles dominating the Giants. And Chiefs and Jaguars surprisingly close. But part of that is because Mahomes went out with injury. But, Chad Henne comes in, leads the team on a, 98-yard drive down and scores late in the game. So the conference championship games are now set. It'll be the Chiefs and the Bengals and the 49ers and the Eagles.
And the one surprising thing for the weekend was the fact that I learned that Chad Henne was still in the league.
Yeah, I didn't even know that guy was still around.
Yeah, when I saw him warming up on the sideline, I was like, does that say Henne on the back of his jersey? He's still in the league? It's geez. That guy's been around. One of the things that I know how a player's been in the league forever is I used to play Madden 07 over and over. I didn't get the same game every year. I just had the one game for a lot of my childhood, and there's only a handful of players still left from that game. Chad Henne is almost in that game. He came in a couple years after that, but Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, I think, are the only two players left in that game that are still in the league.
Still around.
You've lost a few ones the last few years, but they're still. And Chad Henne was almost in that game. He came in the league in 2008.
That's nuts.
Still around.
0366. If stats mean anything, then Josh Allen is certainly near the top of the league.
He's clearly one of the best quarterbacks. He is. And blaming a quarterback entirely for losing in the playoffs over and over is pretty shallow.
Short-sighted, yeah.
And it's about as shallow as just always giving the quarterback all the credit for winning in the playoffs. That's why in that aspect, Tom Brady is a little overrated. Because he's just automatically given GOAT status because of his playoff victories when there is more to his playoff victories than just him. Obviously, he was a big part, but still.
Yeah.
It's pretty shallow to give all the blame either direction to just the quarterback. It's just that the Bills, as a team, haven't been able to sustain that playoff success. It's hard to explain why. Some of it could just be random chance. Because that's just how it is. Only one team comes out with it every year. And that means there are a lot of teams that have been very good and just didn't come close to winning it all. Because when you have these single elimination playoff systems, you're going to have a giant heap of great teams that fell short because of one bad day.
Yeah, one bad day. All right, another quick timeout, and on the other side, we'll see how we did in trying to predict what would happen on the weekend. Our Pick 6 results coming up next.
Nothing compares to the warmth and feel that a wood stove provides. The two-time Best of Northern Utah winning team says there's never been a better time to replace your old inefficient wood stove and install a new energy-efficient EPA-certified Vermont casting wood product in your home. The U.S. government is offering federal tax credits of 26% on your wood stove install. For Vermont casting units, that includes stoves, venting, and labor. Call or email Advanced Fireplace and Stove for a free in-home estimate. Call 435-752-7272 or go to advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Elements has delicious lunch specials, 2 for $30, or the new soup, salad, and bread special for just $10. It's tasty and quick. Elements lunch menu is full of scrumptious items prepared with a personal touch. Wood-fired pizzas are an excellent choice that include barbecue chicken and the bee's knees. The fresh battered halibut fish and chips with seasoned fries is always a hit. And don't forget the fan favorite Munster Burger. Casual or professional. Open Monday through Thursday, 11:30 to 8 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11:30 to 9 p.m. Visit theelementsrestaurant.com for reservations today.
It's cold outside, but you can keep warm inside with a quality-built, super-efficient York furnace. Count on a furnace from York because it's backed by the strongest warranties available. It's just another way we install confidence. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, your local York dealer, at 752-7272. Online at advancedheating-ac.com. York, install confidence.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
As a small business, achieving your financial goals and ambitions can be a steep and rocky mountain to climb. This is Brett Green, president of Cache Valley Bank. To conquer this mountain and achieve your goals, it takes planning, hard work, and discipline. At Cache Valley Bank, we have the resources, expertise, and flexibility to help you scale your way to success. Give us a call. Let's work together and climb the mountains that await. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Creating healthy habits and lifestyles begins when our families are young. This is Dan at the Sports Academy. Keep your kids active with year-round Swim America swim lessons, tennis lessons, and tumbling and trampoline lessons. Both group and private lessons are available to fit your busy schedule. Let our talented coaches teach your kids life skills and build self-confidence that will last a lifetime. Enroll online at sportsacademy.com. The Sports Academy, your club, your results, your life.
Interviews, analysis, and a little bit of fun mixed in. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to Full Court Press. Last couple of minutes with you here on the show and revealing how well we tried to predict what would happen over the weekend with our Pick 6 results.
Probably not very well.
Well, here we go. Let's just go through them one at a time. Did you go first or did I go first?
I think I went first.
All right. So, points by Utah State versus San Jose State. You set the line at 79.5. I took the under. You took the over. Aggies had 75. Walker, Kessler combined points, rebounds, and blocks. Now, this was for the game against Brooklyn?
Yes.
Correct? Because that's the one that I looked at. He had 2 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 block, but you set the line at 24.5. He only had 9 combined, so that was way off.
Not doing very good.
I took the under. You took the over. Wins by road teams in the NFL divisional round. Set the line at 1.5, and we both took the under. There was only one win, and that was Cincinnati, one road team that got the victory.
I said somebody was going to win on the road. I should have just put it at 0.5. That would have made a very difficult line.
A little different. So USU over San Jose State. I set the line at 5.5. I took the under. You took the over. USU covered.
Barely.
Was one. Buffalo over Cincinnati by 5.5. You took Buffalo. I took the Bengals to cover. So that's another one for me.
Not doing very good.
So far, I'm batting 100. And then finally, Markkanen points versus Brooklyn. The line was set at 27.5. You took the under. I took the over. He scored 22. So you got that one correct.
There we go. Didn't go over.
Well, a little different this week compared to the last few. But anyway, probably one that surprised me the most. Well, Walker Kessler, after the performance that he had leading up to that game, just and struggling to score, and his impact rebounding I think was diminished. But probably also that Buffalo and Cincinnati game was the other big surprise for me.
Yeah. Not a huge surprise. Bengals. Well, the thing is, I think on the season, the Bengals were maybe a surprise to me. Maybe they shouldn't have been, because I was counting on them having the Super Bowl hangover, at least for the losers. The losers of the Super Bowl often have a worse hangover than the winners. So I was talking about them maybe being the biggest disappointment in terms of their record, but heck, they're back in the AFC title game, so they proved me wrong there.
Early looks at Cincinnati or Kansas City. Who would you take?
I don't know. Bengals just have that underdog ability to win. The Chiefs are obviously the powerhouse, and although Patrick Mahomes is injured, so it's
it may come down to his health.
It's like there's a lot of different things where you can go either way. So probably take the Bengals just to go with the upstart. But in picking the Bengals, it's probably a kiss of death.
We'll have those games here on The Fan, as we'll have all the NFL playoff games covered on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM.